Star Trek, the ultimate franchise. These are the voyages of 3 veteran Trekkies, Rich, Ian, and Toby. Their ongoing mission? To explore the vast Star Trek universe, to seek out new perspectives and fresh debates, to boldly go where no podcast has gone before. Beyond the Final Frontier.
Hello and welcome to Beyond the Final Frontier, a Star Trek podcast with me, your host, Rich Matthews, and my fellow voyagers across the Final Frontier, well, beyond, Mr. Ian Spelling.
Hey there, everybody.
And Mr. Toby Weidman.
Hello.
Well, today is a special episode for us because we're going to try something new. Given that this last week was the premiere of the latest brand new series of Star Trek, STARFLEET Academy, we thought we'd review the pilot so that we're fresh, happening, live, in with the zeitgeist. So this will be the closest we've recorded to release we've ever done, so it should be interesting, and we're hopefully still within our positive outlook, which is one of the reasons we've decided to do it. So,
and I think also what we might do is we won't then cover the series until the season's finished, and then we might do like a review of the whole season, right?
Yeah, we'll see where we go. We might do halfway point, who knows? But exactly that. We're not going to review every episode as it comes out, but we thought this was a good moment, seeing as we've also already spent an episode 2, ranking the previous pilots. We can even talk about where we might insert it in our previous list.
Yeah.
So without further ado, who wants to start?
If you don't mind, I'll start. All right, so let me run down my thoughts. I broke them down into pros and cons in my head. So let me start with the pros, get into the cons, and then bring it back to somewhere I'm kind of borderline.
Before you do that, Ian, just give me your overall, just general thoughts. Did you like it in general, or?
Yes, I enjoyed it overall. I would give it somewhere between a 7.5 and an 8 on a scale of 1 to 10. Overall, I thought it was fun. I thought it was smart. I thought it was full of Star Trek-y stuff, cool visuals, some good characters, intriguing science fiction elements, and a fucking awesome ship. Love me, the Athena.
I really liked it. I think this is the best pilot we've had since the Berman era. I thought, like a lot of people, I saw a lot of the marketing and the trailers gave me pause, and I was worried about what it was going to be like. But I think for me, the new setting, the rebuilding Starfleet, the young people, it seems to have the best of both versions, the best of both worlds, the best of classic Trek and new Trek at the moment. And I completely agree with everything Ian said. I laughed, I found it exciting, but crucially, my critical brain turned off. I was just enjoying it. And there were no major bumps. There are niggles, there always are, but there were no major bumps, and I completely agree. I love the Athena. My ranking, I should give my ranking along the same line. I give it an 8.
Okay. For my part, and I think this is becoming my catchphrase, it was fine. I mean, I'll just say, I know this is sort of faint praise, but it wasn't the utter train wreck that I thought it was going to be, based on, I think probably what might be the worst, most awful promotional campaign that they've ever done for a series. I saw some YouTube comments on the trailers for this where it was described as Dawson's fleet.
That would still work on me.
That really made me laugh. But yeah, a tentative 6.
Wow.
Okay. Still, that's better than 5. That's above average.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into the likes and dislikes, or pros and cons, as Ian said. I thought it was definitely better than Disco or Picard's pilots.
Agreed. So let me start with this. Star Trek has always been woke. This whole "it's too woke" thing has some merit, but for the most part, it ignores the fact that Star Trek, especially dating back to the original series, has always been in its own way woke. And I'm sure the original series would have been more, quote unquote, woke if Gene Roddenberry were allowed to have been more woke by the censors and NBC at the time. It should be full of idealists. It should be full of learners and dreamers and soldiers and peacemakers and people and beings of all kinds, all shapes. Setting a show at Starfleet Academy gives you a proper context for all of that. Kudos for the concept. As a TV show, it's a cool way to go. Now, what you do with it is where, to use your word, the niggling gets in. But let me jump to other things I liked. I love the music, especially some of the military beats that we heard in there. I'm not quite as enamored of the version of San Francisco that accompanied arriving to Earth, but overall I thought Jeff Russo's work really elevated and complemented everything. I thought Holly Hunter nailed it. Aki is formidable, funny, a mentor, quirky, a leader. Some people hate how she sits in that chair. Is it disrespectful? Maybe. Here's the question. Would she allow anyone else on the bridge to do in their chair what she's doing in hers? And my answer to that question is, of course not.
Yeah.
Do I roll with it and enjoy the entertainment value of it? Yes, I do.
I love the bare feet. I love the bare feet thing.
I don't know if I like the bare feet either, because if sparks and fire and metal wind up on the bridge, she's fucked, right? Right. Paul Giamatti absolutely chewed the scenery, going even more over the top than Christopher Plummer did in his movie. I can understand some people thinking they made the character too comedic at the expense of the character's villainy, but I found it very entertaining, and I really liked the moments between Hunter and Giamatti. I loved Sandro Rosta as Caleb. This guy has the broadest shoulders I've ever seen.
Those arms,
those guns.
those triceps. I felt tremors.
Seriously. Bob Picardo was well utilized and had some good lines of dialogue. And I loved the way they explained away his having aged.
And not overused as well.
And, tip the cap to, Voyager and
All
Prodigy.
good things. And all
But
good
I
things
also
as
have
well.
some negatives with that, but back to that in a minute. I thought best of all, the young actors was Bella Shepard. Genesis feels like a really promising character, and Shepard brought this really unique vibe of warmth and wisdom and playfulness that I think will bring out the best in the other characters that she interacts with. The sets are insane, incredibly expansive. Brilliant job of a ship that is also a campus. I thought that killed two birds with one stone in a really
I thought that was
interesting
the
way.
best concept in it. I really liked that.
Let me race through my negatives, and then you guys should do each of what I'm doing, obviously. We could debate each point, but let me just go through, and maybe you guys do it the same way I'm doing. The nonsense about origami chicken, the fuck was that? Sorry, did nothing for me. And that they, kept going with it. I pray to God that's, dead and the chicken has been eaten. I like Sam as a concept. I think Carice Brooks is a natural. But when even the Doctor finds the character too in his face and too energetic, and like the love child of Data, Lal, and the Doctor, it's a signal the writers need to lower the volume from 12 out of 10 to maybe 7 or 8 on that character. The visual effects are state of the art, but so much of it just exemplifies for me the difference between digital and old school models. Digital at times looks and feels digital. It's too perfect. It's too smooth. It's animation-like to me. This isn't an issue exclusive to Star Trek. This is modern day special effects. My wife and I watched the first couple of episodes of season 2 of The Pit, and there were scenes that were obviously shot in front of a green screen. And it pulled us out of the moment. And honestly, that's what happened. When in the pilot of this thing, when the ship is flying, when the shuttle craft is flying at the beginning, it literally felt like watching old school Babylon 5 that was done on a laptop. It didn't work for me. Other bigger criticism, everything was fairly predictable. From the mama trauma to the reluctant captain, from the vengeful baddie to the mama bear #1, from the Dawson's Creek teen romance to the massive ship damage that somehow killed no one and seems to be magically repaired by the end of the episode. Come on. That's just plot trash. It doesn't work. From the seemingly ridiculous cadets to adults to the young hero who wants to come up with the idea to save the ship. Most of the things were handled well, but we've seen it. Everybody loves to argue how you pronounce the species, the Charons. They aren't glossy or sheeny or whatever the hell adjective you want to use. Did they fade over time? And Laura Thok is way too much like Lou Gossett's character in Enemy Mine. I was completely distracted by that, and people are going to argue over, okay, they used the hybrid excuse for creating that, but that's a test tube male species. They hybridized it to get the female end of it didn't work for me. But the biggest thing, the future is too modern for my taste. I'm not sure that many years from now, teens will still be calling each other bitch. It just, for a show set hundreds of years in the future, to feel like literally something between 1990s television and present day television, I thought is a major flaw that I hope they overcome. And super fast, my borderlines, I like seeing and hearing some of the nods to previous Trek, but there were too many. You've got the Wall of Heroes with Harry Kim getting the promotion, the Uhura Pavilion, the Sato Atrium. We've got a Prodigy creature. There were references to Bajor. Obviously, Discovery is mentioned a whole bunch. Some of it made me smile. Some of it makes me cringe. The Doctor talks and is asked too much about Voyager. He's been around for 900 years now. Doesn't he have other experiences that he can reference? Of course, we don't know about them yet. And of course, in a pilot, you can't, talk about something that we may never see or hear of too much. But just drop something else. Drop the name of an alien we've never heard or seen before, or an anecdote that we haven't seen or heard before. It can't all be, oh, I did this on Voyager type of thing. It's not going to work. They have to expand the Doctor's range a little bit, just in terms of his experiences. So that the negatives are why it's a 7.5 to an 8 for me. And I think some of those things, there's wide open room to tinker and build.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I shut up now. 6 minutes.
No, it's all good. I echo a lot of what you said. So my goods are, I pretty much, to a person, enjoyed everybody in the cast, which hasn't happened. So even Strange New Worlds, when it launched, and that's one of the things that's probably why I think I prefer it to that pilot, is there were still some people who didn't quite gel for me in that ensemble. They did ultimately, and they've worked on them. But initially it didn't flow. This felt a lot more like that. I really like the cadet combinations. And equally, a lot of what I agree with a lot of what you said about some of them in terms of being a bit ingratiating in places, but equally that was where I was very aware as a pilot. And for instance, there's no one as grating as Neelix in this pilot for me. And that caretaker still worked. So it's this, I really, once we got to the Athena, I was just enjoying it, mostly. There are very few bumps from that point. I've really liked the concept of the ship being Starfleet Academy for a couple of reasons. One, it solves a potential problem with an earthbound show. It doesn't have to be, but also reflects the technology that had already been seeded in Discovery in that century, where it's a bit more amorphous and the nacelles don't connect, and it was a nice technology jump for it to be able to come into the atmosphere and dock and be Starfleet Academy. In the 31st century stuff in Discovery, there's a lot of stuff about using energy fields to link structures and things rather than it being a literal join. And they definitely did that with the nacelles, which Discovery had and then was retrofitted. I don't know. Anyway, but they changed it back for the end of the show. Be interesting to see if they ever plot-wise need that to get out of atmosphere quickly. Although I did find myself wondering when later on you have a shot of it sat in its place, and the impulse engine seemed to be on. I did find myself pondering, well, that's not environmentally good, is it? Having your impulse engine sat there burning ions. So I really enjoyed Thok. I of course, I'm very aware of, I'm sure Toby as well, of Genie Shiri's stand-up in this country, and it was curious casting. I was like, oh, because, and then I just really enjoyed the way she played it. I can see the Enemy Mine comparison, and there were so many hybrids, though, ultimately, that I kind of, like even Paul Giamatti is half Klingon, half Tellarite. And there seems to be a lot of that, which reflects the multi-ethnic background.
The aliens being horny.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, exactly. Every species mating with every other species. So in a way, because they sort of diluted what reaction I might have had to it, although stop just pairing Klingons with other races, to create ridges. And I've always loved the Jem'Hadar makeup, so it was nice to have that back in. I thought I was going to be irritated by the Klingon cadet, but ultimately I wasn't. And the highlight for me was, completely agree with everything you said about the problem on the ship, and it was a little bit too much destruction. And then that's when I reminded myself again, this is a pilot. In the first episode of Voyager, again, the ship is thrown out into the other side, other side of the galaxy, and is in dire straits initially, and it's all about overcoming that. But the way they got the teaching crew and the cadets working together, and everybody did do something that was character related, even broad strokes, because it's a pilot, that when they were all clicking together, I was just like, yes, this is exactly what I want. And it walked to I think for the first time, I still agree with you in terms of it being anachronistic, having contemporary language in it, but it was the first time it didn't just put me off. And if people on the Enterprise and Strange New Worlds can use similar vernaculars, it makes kind of sense. It will age it. It will date it, undoubtedly. But it did bring an energy. It made sense more in my head, for better or for worse, that young people would just not speak as rigidly. And that was why it was kind of cool as well as to talk about for Holly Hunter to be a little bit loosey-goosey, to reflect that, and that would sort of bleed through. So, at a certain point, as I said, my critical brain just was not on, which is what I look for. A lot of people think that I'm always analysing something I'm watching. I'm not. If it's working, I'm just watching it and enjoying it. And I found myself in that place.
And it's a personal taste thing as to where you can turn off or where you are turned off. And it's really interesting. Sorry.
So where I was turned off.
You're welcome for that setup, by the way.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, we're professionals. Is that I didn't like the opening scenes. And that's where I was really like, but it's more of a writer's thing, which is you didn't need all that shit on the shuttle. I agreed it looked cheap, but you didn't need it either. So whenever I can see an easy screenwriting solution that's more eloquent, then I'm more critical. So all you needed was to cut to the planet's atmosphere, inside the atmosphere, the planet itself, and you have the headline, and then you see the shuttle coming in a smoke trail, higgledy-piggledy. You didn't need that sequence. I know why they had it. To make it exciting, but also it does arguably show how capable he is. But I think that could have been handled through the rest of the episode. I don't like the mother trauma stuff particularly, but I did like the scene where she went to him in the prison. That was the first time I started to, because I was worried he would be very one note, and then he was Sandra Rosta really brought a lot of nice charisma to it very quickly, and he worked with Holly Hunter. Their dynamic was strong from the outset, and that's did a lot of work through the rest of the episode in terms of trust. And I liked some of the for every flourish I liked the uniform, the matter reorganizer. He's like, I'm not going to cut my hair, and they just do it. There were a few bits and pieces that frustrated me. I agree there were too many Starfleet references, and because I found that was the only time I bumped out. Like, I'm going, how come Kim got promotion but Nog is still just Lieutenant Nog? I reckon, he'd be a captain, and we've had, the writers postulate from DS9 that is what would happen.
Why is Wesley Crusher on there?
Oh,
why is Sito Jaxa
you
on there?
cold-hearted bastard! Stop.
Yeah.
Why is Beckett Mariner on there but not Boimler?
Yeah, well, there you go. Because Tawny Newsome is a co-producer on the series. Did you notice that?
And Tawny Newsome is also on there. So she gets both Beckett Mariner and Tawny Newsome. Ambassador Garrick, by the way.
But that's too much, as you say, because you start finding yourself reading that. You shouldn't be doing that. It should be a fun little, but shouldn't be losing yourself trying to find all the names every time they pan to it. And I completely echo what you said, Ian, which is that there's as much in there to be tinkered and improved, but the concern is, will it not be tinkered to improve? And I'm being positive. That's why I gave it an 8. Probably be a 7, but I have a thing historically about 7 out of 10s being the sort of default when you're not sure what to say. So I went for an 8. If this had come out after season 2 of Strange New Worlds, I'd have more thorough confidence, because season 3 of Strange New Worlds somewhat mired that show's development. Yeah, I mean, Ian just made a tanking gesture with his hand. That's what's giving me more pause. Meaning have a great show in Strange New Worlds, and they botched it a bit in season 3. So that goes. They've got a great potential show here. I genuinely think the best start they've had. Because you could argue Strange New Worlds was set up in the end of Discovery anyway, in Discovery before it ported over. And the vibe ultimately that I came away with this was very much like I felt about Prodigy. Not the pilot, because remember I didn't particularly like the pilot, but it has primarily hope. The philosophy of Starfleet, of the Federation, of what it means. And that beamed through to me, no pun intended. So that will take.
You definitely
meant that pun. Yeah.
Do you have a yellow sticky next to your computer that says "Make sure you get in this word today"?
No, Come on. Sadly it's automatic.
Lying sack of shit. All right, go on.
Did it stun you?
I was stunned.
Did you set your phaser on fun?
No,
right.
Don't. I hate that. Yeah. So so they are niggles, as I said. They're not major things. I don't feel as strongly negative about anything as you've expressed it, Ian. And like, I was worried about Picardo, and I thought, well, in fact, he said tricorder, medical tricorder. That did warm my heart. That was a good reference to, but equally, I totally think, I want to know, as long as they explore those 900 years with him, fine, I'll accept the shorthand of talking about Voyager. But
they didn't yet.
Yeah, not
Key
yet.
thing, yet.
Yeah. But that's the thing, it's there, isn't it? And if they've got, but equally though, there was more pressure on them to do that, and that's what's going to be interesting, is because they've not got 24 episodes,
right,
to look into this. So any beautiful breadcrumbs that were seeded, and there were loads, they don't have the same time. And I think that's possibly where Strange New Worlds season 3 started to suffer, was they're trying to, cram too much into it became very Star Trek, which means there's loads to explore, and then they don't have enough episodes to do it in.
Right. Real fast, by the way, you said I was using a tanking gesture, and then you used the word botched. I was disappointed in season 3, but I didn't think it was Section 31 level disaster by any means.
No, and I say you're right to pull me up on that. Botched in the sense that seasons 1 and 2 were great.
Right.
And
season 3 was, what was your phrase, Tobes, that you used for this episode?
Oh, it was fine.
Fine. Season 3 for me was fine.
Yeah, it's just we're not used to that arc in Star Trek series. Once they get good,
they get better.
They normally stay good, and they might have little blips, but not a season-wide one.
Yes, agreed.
And again, that's where. So if you were to put those 10 episodes of season 3 of Strange New Worlds into a normal 24-episode run, the last 14 might have been amazing.
Right.
But they don't have that time.
Yeah, which is a shame.
Yeah, exactly. So so the pressure's higher on this to deliver and to deal with the potential negatives as it goes through. But I have to say, I've not been Kurtzman's biggest fan, but as a director, he was pretty good. But it wasn't written by him, crucially. Gaia Violo was the series creator and showrunner and writer of the pilot, and I think that's an interesting combo. So if Kurtzman continues to direct this well, then I will take back some of the things I've said about him stewarding the franchise. I did the main character who I did find a bit grating was Sam. I agree, but I love the idea of the photonics and what it means, and as a life form, and for the Doctor. I was glad they added dimension to their annoying bully jock guy, and I was concerned that was, but then it was a nice gesture that he went out and
asshole number 2.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought Starfleet didn't have that. Oh, they don't, because he's actually of value, and he does ultimately act and behave like a Starfleet officer should, or would be a Starfleet officer should. So this is the best synthesis yet for me. And I can still bump on the contemporary dialogue style in Strange New Worlds. And the fact, as we acknowledged, one of the problems in season 3 was it was too horny, one character in particular. But again, when you're dealing with adolescents, essentially, adolescents of though who have got arms like Arnold Schwarzenegger, then it makes more sense to me. Yeah, so there you go.
Toby, thank you. So glad. Thank you so much for coming. I wish we had time to get your input. Peace, love, and logic, everybody. Have a great day.
Do you know what, Ian? That's fine.
Love you too, buddy.
Okay, my likes. Mostly good performances. I wasn't sold on everyone. I felt the casting was generally very good and suited the characters. The highlight for me was Sandro Rosta as Caleb. I thought he's a strong central performance. I like the character. The mother being lost trauma is something maybe I'll get into later, but
it's Tatiana Maslany, and she's really good. Well,
I mean, that is one of the things. I didn't know that actress. I didn't recognise her from The Monkey, which I think is the only thing I've seen her in. I've not watched Orphan Black or She-Hulk or anything like that.
And she was brilliant in Orphan Black. So
I liked She-Hulk.
But clearly, casting her means that she is going to come back at some point, because she's a named actress, albeit one that I didn't really recognise. For Robert Picardo and EMH, it was nice to have him back. I'm glad that he was kind of used like he wasn't a focus. He was there, he had some stuff to do, but it wasn't like this is some vintage Voyager Star Trek. I kind of echo what you thought. I thought I was going to hate the Krag, how you say it, character, but didn't actually. I could kind of see it, and I've seen a lot of people complaining about him, but I remember, like, we always think of Worf as being this warrior, but he did have a sensitive side. It did come out, particularly in his relationship with Jadzia. So I'm fine with that. I'm kind of interested to see where they go with it. I don't think it was particularly gone into in any depth in this episode, but that's because they're trying to. This one of the problems that I have is that they're just too many characters, and they're just trying to cram in little moments for all of them. The lead female student, Genesis, I thought she was fine.
I thought she was better than fine. Why did you think she was just fine, Tobe?
I think it's just the character. I found her a bit too sassy, but I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt. We'll see where she goes with that character. I hope they develop it a little bit more than just she's an admiral's daughter, and maybe a bit privileged. Sam, the photonic, I can see that becoming the kind of data character, and that she's learning as she's going. I think maybe she's a reflection of some kind of neurodiversity that they're trying to work in there.
That's a good point.
Perhaps on the autistic spectrum, I don't know. Certainly, got the not doing well in social situations and like having to learn as she goes. I mean, she is very young. She's supposed to be 4 months, right? So I think, kind of to echo your thoughts, I think she has the potential to be either great or grating. One of the two, and we'll see. And I'm going to call him Chad number 2 because I don't know his name. He was fine as well. I don't think I really got to know in this episode. So we'll see. For me, another positive, I thought most of the comedy worked. Not in a laugh out loud kind of way. I was sort of smirking to myself, but there were some where it really fell flat. At the cadet swallowing a comm badge, I really hated that moment. I mean, what the fuck? Don't put her in command of anything. Like, seriously.
Could not agree more, for the record.
The general aesthetic I thought was very good, and the sets were extremely impressive. I still do have a little bit of an issue with the size of the bridge in terms of like how far everyone is away from everything. Like, you'd just be shouting orders in combat, and whether anyone would hear anything. And I do think they overused the delta. It's just on everything. It's like even on the benches.
Yes. Yeah, and where they were having that conversation at the end, yes.
But this ties into, I think this is what you guys were saying, the subtle member berries, like an exocomp floating around in the background. Great. The more heavy-handed stuff, I'm not overly sure about. I know, we'll see. It didn't irritate me. I just thought it just felt unnecessary. So we'll see what that is. Okay, on to my dislikes. Strap in, boys. No, I'll go through this pretty quickly. The first 20 minutes were a drag for me. I wasn't into it. I thought, as you mentioned with the shuttlecraft, I didn't think that looked good at all. I probably would have trimmed out as much of that as possible and got it down to like 5 minutes or 10 minutes.
Yeah, I thought that was a bit Section 31-y. Is the point? Is that?
Again, like you said, they've got to stick some action in there. Got to get you excited at the beginning. I understand that. It does show that Caleb is capable, but it could have been done a lot quicker.
Yep.
I'm not sure about the story of the pilot. I don't know if we really got anything there, and I also don't know if the central premise of finding Caleb's mum is a strong enough driver for a whole season, because I feel like that's the sort of thing that it is.
But it's going to be episodic, isn't it? So...
maybe it'll that'll progress and it'll work better. Like you said, we've got a known actress in that role, so maybe they're going to play a bigger part. And I did appreciate it that it wasn't the whole universe is threatened by bloody blah. I think that's been a criticism that we've had of certainly of Disco. No, unlike you, I'm not convinced by Captain Ake, Holly Hunter's character. Would she make a good captain? I don't think so. A chancellor, teacher, yeah, that character suits that role. But as a ship captain, I'm not. It's just too lackadaisical, like you said. I'm not. Maybe that'll change again. Maybe it's because she hasn't been a captain for a little while. She has been a teacher teaching toddlers by the looks of it. Maybe she just needs to. I don't know if she doesn't have the presence or strength for me of something like Janeway or Picard or Cisco. Not right now anyway. And I also, this might be a criticism of the sound mix or her delivery, but I actually struggled to hear some of the stuff that she was saying. And I'm not someone who wants to watch a show with subtitles. So again, we'll see how that happens. The walking around barefoot, it's just unacceptable. Sorry. And the reason for that is just feet. That's I just don't want to see feet.
Oh, how do you ever get through a Tarantino film?
I struggle. Well, I mean, he fetishizes them. That's at least they weren't doing that. I didn't think all the performances were convincing, and you mentioned the Klingon Jem'Hadar character. I didn't really like that performance. I liked the character, didn't have a problem with that. I just didn't particularly like the performance. That drill sergeant role has been done to death, and no one's Ali, you know me. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Right now, I'm not sold on that. I had a problem with the fact that the cadets are all way too capable.
I wondered if anyone was going to bring up the Mary Jane of it. There was a bit of that. Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
The adults on the ship when they're in crisis, they're all pretty useless. They don't do anything. Where it's the kids who save the day, and again, I think it's a modern trope.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's all on you, kid.
Yeah.
You take it from here. I mean, there's even that specific line of dialogue. Yeah. It's a hoary plot device. It's been used a lot, and it's a cliche because it works for a story. It gets you there real quick, and it sets the tone, right? But it's been done.
Yeah, they do have to be capable characters, because otherwise they wouldn't be, accepted into Starfleet Academy, which is essentially the fast track officer ranking, right? So they do need to be capable, but they were pretty much all flawless. I mean, Caleb made the mistake of sending that message, hacking the computer and sending the message, which ultimately leads to Nusbraka attacking the ship, but it's an accidental mistake. Like, he didn't mean for that to happen. It's not like I kind of want them to mess up a little bit, and they didn't. Maybe that'll because why are they going to Starfleet Academy if they're all brilliant at what they do anyway?
But this is Kurtzman's lineage, meaning he's a Abrams acolyte, and the ultimate Mary Jane in modern cinema is Rey.
Yeah.
Who came out with Jedi powers that most people needed a long time to learn to find, let alone do that well. But I do see that, so I was sort of aware of it, but it didn't bump me because of, again, the purpose of the episode, in terms of, because it did lay out character stalls. It did show where their gifts and their skills lie. I was slightly worried that Caleb could type as fast as Data, it seemed, but use the systems. But it reminded me of his skill reminded me of Ed Spalia's in Picard season 3. That sort of rogue, the way you learn to live and cope and survive, survival of the fittest, is to be technologically gifted.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's just that all of them.
But they each did do a different thing, though.
While also, spurting out quippy one-liners. You've got to have time to get those little one-liner jokes in there as well while they're doing it. And it's like, I don't know.
You also have to remember, bottom line, that it's a whole academy. There's a gazillion kids who probably have the same exact skills. It's just this is the focus of the show.
Yeah. Some of them swallow comm budgies, and some of them save the ship in a crisis.
Yeah.
Well, that will be our "Will it jump the shark?" reference. Is will Starfleet Academy swallow the comm badge?
Good point.
Unlike you, I didn't like the ship design.
Ooh.
I hated the floating nacelles.
I liked it. I even liked the fact it was the badge.
I didn't like that either. That bothered me. Yeah. I don't like the floating nacelles. So
that might be a Discovery thing because you didn't watch the end of Discovery.
I also hated the design of the Discovery ship. So I know you liked that one, which I didn't like it
Ralph
at all.
Corey.
Paul Giamatti, I thought was fun, but there was nothing really there to him other than jokey pirate. I feel he's a little bit throwaway. I'm not sure he would work as a recurring villain right now after this episode. I didn't think there was much depth to him, but if they push him into kind of like a Harry Mudd-esque character, I'd be really down for that. I think that would be a really kind of like...
he's a massive Star Trek fan.
Yeah.
And he went on the record ages ago saying that his ideal role would be a Klingon.
At least he got half of it.
Yeah, I know. but then he also knows what a Tellarite was, so he was happy. Yeah. So that tells you a lot, because most people don't know the piggy Tellarites, particularly.
After they get all that gunk off the Athena, I thought Ake's decision to just blast the pirate ship out of the water rather than disable it or out of space rather, was mad. Can't imagine anyone, maybe Janeway in season 7.
I was about to say mad son of a bitch.
But yeah, I thought that was very weird. And the fact that Giamatti gets away, his character gets away in like an escape pod.
But did you see his jet? It was fun. This is one of the things I liked when he slammed his hand on the thing. He did the Vulcan salute.
Yeah.
He couldn't.
Yeah.
It didn't quite work because he had those things on his fingers and he couldn't put them together. But he did do that, which that made me laugh.
I don't remember that bit, but yeah,
You have to look at it to make sure it was the Vulcan
does.
salute and not just a hand slamming up. But yeah.
And the thing that really took me out of it was the needle drop at the end, which I think Ian mentioned with the use
San
of San
Francisco.
Francisco. It was cheesy as hell.
Yeah. I
As soon as it came on, I was like, "Oh no, they're doing this."
But I sort of, I did it. I did have that response initially, but then I liked watching it dock. Is the sort of, But yeah, I do agree. I don't think you should be, especially because if it's only modern rock and roll songs, from the 70s on, that is going to be a bit weird.
Yeah, but this was like a weird cover.
Yeah,
of a
well, that's
cheesy
because it's
70s
cheaper.
song.
It's 'cause it's cheaper. They don't have to pay the rights then, the same rights. Yeah.
And I do. The one final thing was about the. I don't know whether it's because of the sheer number of characters that there are, but other than Caleb, obviously the Doctor and Captain Ake, I had to write people's characters down because I would never remember them. And I think that may be an issue because I feel like after the end of something like Encounter at Farpoint or The Caretaker, I knew who most of the main characters' names were. I don't think I would have remembered that Krog maybe, but like Sam and Genesis, I had to look that up. And I don't know what Chad number 1's name is. The character name.
The fish boy, I couldn't tell you that either. Crystal's fish boy.
There was that scene where Ake sort of goes around the bridge, the adult bridge crew, and names everyone. I was like, "Hey, all of their names are
was one called Yar? Was
know.
it Yar then? But one
because I instantly forgot all of their names, and their names were not easy to remember. So maybe that'll.
Mine was right. Human, prosthetic effects, CGI.
Yeah. Weird
the
looking
prosthetic
one.
effects one is Ava Blackwell.
Oh, really?
Who was all over Discovery. Yeah, so I hope we get to see
But it
more
was a
of her.
lovely
And
job. No, again, a lovely makeup job.
Great job on all that stuff. Yeah.
But Fish Boy that you're referring to, it was such a visual effect. It was one of the visual effects that didn't work for me. It was this weird lighting. It looked ethereal. The red eye, didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
He's
with you,
a Keonian bitch.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my rant.
So one question though. Obviously they had the new Star Trek 60 ident up front. Do we need to start a letter writing campaign on John Eve's behalf? Seeing as the Enterprise was left out.
No Cerritos. Cerritos wasn't in there.
No Protostar.
What is the Cerritos? I would call it the Cerritos.
Cerritos, yeah.
All right.
Cerritos.
Cerritos. Okay.
Is that a British thing?
I know. Rhymes with Doritos, does it?
It took me like 6 episodes to accept it's Celia Rose Gooding. He could have the Cerritos or whatever it is.
Yes.
That's like my uncle used to call we had a car here called the Ford Orion, and he used to call it the Ford Orion.
Yes.
It's like
tomato. There's a lot there.
Caribbean.
How about Sharon, right? There's a million ways to pronounce things. It's funny how that works.
I've noticed that you say auberginois different. How do you say it?
Rene Auberginois.
Is that how he said it though?
That's how he said it.
Yeah, no, I know, absolutely, I'm sure. But that I've always in my head it's auberginois. That's how
Me too.
Auberginois.
No, but see, I have to correct that because I always remember having these rows with people going, "Yeah, I know people say Beatty here, but he says Beatty. It's Warren Beatty, okay, or Bowie instead of Bowie. It's like if they say it that way, you should say it that way.
Well, it's the difference between Nana and Nana because I would say Nana.
Weidman and Weidman.
Yeah. Weird
spelling
man.
and spelling.
Yeah, Ian and Ian.
Yes.
That's a weird one from Beverly Hills 90210 and Sharknado.
Yes,
well,
Ian Ziering. He was Ian Ziering.
He was Ian Ziering, and you're like, you what? Really? Was he though? Was he christened Ian? And he just, went for Iron.
When Hollywood. I agree.
Yeah. Given your feeling, you see, I consider this a win with your response to this.
So do I. like I said, I thought it was going to be an absolute train wreck, and so I was pleasantly surprised from that.
Cool. So you were going to ask where it would go in my rankings.
Yes, I've got that. I've got our rankings from the pilots up in front of me, so I'm interested to see where you would place it.
So it is. I'll go up. It's better than Lost and Found. It's better than Remembrance, which is Picard. It's better than the Vulcan Hello, which is Discovery. I preferred it to The Cage. I think it's better than the Strange New Worlds premiere. I prefer it to Second Contact. I wouldn't necessarily say it's better but it's not animated. So the question for me is that takes it all the way up to like number 6. Is it better than Encounter at Farpoint? No. So I'd say it's Encounter at Farpoint is my number 5, and it's my number 6.
6th spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm going to agree with you. I will say the following. I think this is more fun than Encounter at Farpoint, but
completely agree with that. Completely.
Encounter at Farpoint is a better setup for a TV show.
Yeah, agreed.
So are you? Because you placed TNG's Encounter at Farpoint in the 6th spot, and you had Lower Decks in the 7th spot. So would you place it between those two?
Yeah, maybe ahead of Lower Decks.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, so you put it in 7th.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That puts it in. Other than it being one higher of mine, it's in the exact same sandwich.
Yeah.
As me.
And I'm one more up from that. So I think it was better than the Prodigy one, but I don't think it was as good as the Strange New Worlds one. So I would put it in the 8th spot.
Totally respect our choices, gentlemen.
And it's also worth pointing out that we're talking about it being out of 12. So, I mean, that's a win, as I said.
That's praise unto itself, yeah.
Well, for me, it's ahead of the animated series, Discovery, Next Gen, Picard, and Prodigy.
And Discovery.
Yeah, I mentioned this. Disco is my second to last. In that I didn't like Disco's pilot.
So that's. I think you can't get a clearer statement that the potential is really, really high. And it's whether or not it can. Again, we don't have the time for it to find its feet in this modern Star Trek world that you had with the Berman era, where you had often a couple of seasons, normally running to at least 7. Obviously, Enterprise was curtailed, but then even within those seasons, 24 episodes. Now, with the success in inverted commas like Strange New Worlds, finishing in after 5 seasons. Discovery after 5 seasons, and those seasons are less than half of a normal Star Trek season. The question is, can they fulfill that potential in those more pressured, time-limited structures, for me?
Right, and also expectations are much higher from fans, and expectations are much higher from the studios now. And especially with the takeover of the studio, it'll be very interesting to see how real-world realities affect the science fiction storytelling.
Yep, and with the film conversations already being that they want to do a new crew, if Starfleet Academy is a success, then will they do this era? That would provide a continuity which they haven't had for a while.
Well, good points.
Oh, one thing I wanted to add, actually, this came up in conversation with my mate Stuart, is I read Variety's review of it, and it was written by someone who was new to Star Trek, and they were saying this is the perfect entry point. One thing I would say is I'm not sure it is, because myself having stopped watching Discovery after season 2, I don't know what the burn is. And so I've had to go and look that up and read about it. I had no idea who the dude in the grey, who seems to be like head of staff. Don't know who that is. I have no idea who that bloke is.
He's the guy who rents Juice Bigelow his flat.
Yeah, but in a Star Trek context, I don't know who he is. And I don't want to sit through 3 seasons of Discovery to understand this stuff. So I think that it struggles on that point, in that it leans a little bit on the events of Discovery.
But that's just the setup. So maybe
even more. And then you're going to have Reno coming in, and you're going to have Tilly coming in.
Mm-hmm. So that's our feeling on Starfleet Academy. And given our history in terms of the new Trek, I think this is all very good, and we're all clearly excited to see where it goes. So what do you think of Starfleet Academy? What do you think? Do you agree with us? Do you think we're crazy? Do you think we finally jumped on the right wagon train to the stars? Let us know in the comments, or you can contact us via email, on social media. All the information's in the descriptions, and hopefully that means you'll be with us for further journeys beyond the final frontier.
Peace, love, and logic, everybody. And Blade Runner is still totally overrated.
Oh, you totally stole my thunder. I was going to say Terrara bit and Blade Runner is still the greatest film that's ever been made. I can't believe you got in there first. Anyway, so long, everyone.
Ta-ra.
Next time.
For you. Yeah. Thanks for listening to Beyond the Final Frontier, a Star Trek podcast with Rich Matthews, Ian Spelling and Toby Weidman. If you want to get in contact with us, you can email us on beyondffpod@gmail.com or check us out on social media. You can even join our Patreon at BFF Beyond the Final Frontier. Huge thanks go out to Alex Weidman for the brilliant original music. Please search Alex Weidman Composer on YouTube to hear the full fantastic theme and more. Also thanks goes to award-winning voiceover artist Cissy Jones for our excellent opening monologue. Find out more about her incredible work at cissyjones.com. And of course, last but not least, our brilliant artwork comes from the designer Russell Seal. Discover more of his work on behance.net/Russell Seal. Thanks again, and see you next episode, Beyond the Final Frontier.